Hello everyone, this is Rebecca Jane from Yoga with Rebecca Jane. Welcome to our third session on our breathing and our toning. So the two going hand in hand. And what we're doing is we're going to continue to do some toning of our tummies. A little bit more stretchy today so that we don't strain our muscles. So as if you're doing this, as I suggest, consecutively, you'll sometimes in the middle of the third session there might be a little bit of a change of how the class is designed, so that people get a little bit of break, so you don't get too much focus on one area and what I refer to as overcooking your muscles. And the breathing exercise today is called 4-8, so just 4:8, and it means it's a breathing exercise I recommend for anybody that's, especially if they're stressed out or you're extremely anxious. But it also helps, it's a nice thing to do sometimes at the beginning of a day to get yourself in a calm, to help you start your day in a calm state. And it's also very good for any time of the day. Lunchtime, to get yourself prepared for the rest of the day, and also at night to help you sleep. So it's one of those ideal breathing techniques that what it does is it turns on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming part of the nervous system, and it's the rest and digest part. And it's the exhalation is the 8 breaths, the counts, and the inhalation is 4. So the longer you exhale, the more relaxed you become, because exhalations trigger the calming response of the nervous system, and then just the inhales can do the opposite. So they both naturally work beautifully together, but especially when we're evening out the inhalation and exhalation. But sometimes we need a little bit more. So we need a little bit more calming and soothing, and sometimes we need a little bit more energy. So this is for getting yourself into a state of calm. Then once you're in a state of calm, you can then return to your even inhalations and exhalations, or go back to natural breathing, so you don't have to even think about it. If you're really, really struggling with energy, then you can actually take the inhalation and increase it maybe to 5, and exhalation is maybe at 3. So, but we're going to concentrate on the 4 and 8, because most of us are looking for not as much more energy, but many of us look to calm ourselves down. So let's just take our seat, find this comfortable seat, wiggle around a little bit until you feel the sit bones underneath your pressing into the ground, or whatever you might be sitting on. I sit on something because my hips are usually lower than my knees. If you cannot get your hips, if your knees are higher than your hips, if your knees are higher than your hips, it's always good to sit on something, whether it's a cushion or a block. Double up a blanket. Otherwise, without further ado, let's move on with the class. So closing your eyes, if that's available to you, and then begin to breathe in and out. So just watching the breath flow in and out. So becoming aware of how your breath feels, where you're experiencing it in your body. Is it in the chest? Is it in the tummy? Is it erratic? Is it even? Is it slow? Simply observing at this point. This is what mindfulness is. So without doing much with the breath, just once you are focusing on the breath, it will naturally start to slow down. That's just how it is. It's when we're not paying attention, which is most of the time, because we're just breathing automatically. We don't even realize until we stop for a moment and watch. So now from here, I'm going to take you through that 4-8 breathing technique. We'll do 3 sets. Let your eyes continue to be closed and just listen to me as I speak. We're going to inhale through the nose, and for this exercise, we exhale through the mouth. Just let the mouth close, but exhale through the lips. So not open mouth, but semi, just slightly closing the mouth, letting the lips touch. We're going to first begin with emptying the lungs by exhaling through the mouth. And then let's take an inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And then exhale through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then let's take an inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time, inhaling, 2, 3, 4. And then exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now begin to return to your even ujjayi breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Simply making that ah sound at the back of your throat as you inhale and exhaling, now both through the nose. Either to the count of 4, both inhale and exhale, or 5 or 3. Just let the breath even out and just take a notice of how you feel. So the mantra for this practice is I am aware. I am aware. Being aware of the breath, being aware of your sensations in your body. So when you're aware of the breath, you usually are focused on that. And then when you start to become aware of sensations that are very dominant, the breath kind of steps aside for a little bit, but it's still there. So we want to try and do both, observe them simultaneously. Simply by letting the breath kind of go to the peripheral for a moment as you're concentrating on your body, and then exhaling and then coming back when the sensation changes. So let's do a few little gentle rolls around to the side. So sitting in that cross-legged seat, use your inhalation for half the circle and exhalation for the second half. Round and round, loosening up your spine. And let's finish that one circle, or that circle in that direction. Let's take a breath in and lean forward and exhaling over to the left. So you following the breath, feeling the breath as it fills your rib cage, diaphragmatic breathing. The beauty of diaphragmatic breathing is not only is it healthy to breathe this way because it's bringing more oxygen in to the body, but it also helps your heart. And I'll talk more about that as we move through the practice. So inhaling nice and tall. And take your shoulders, lift them up and roll them back. And then just sweep your arms back behind you as if you're pushing the palms into a wall behind you. Thumbs are pointing towards one another, as if you're trying to touch your thumbs together. Now take your hands on the ground and spin them back. So what we're doing is I will actually come off my cushion. And you're going to place your feet across and Spin the fingertips now backwards, come onto those palms. Take the soles of your feet, press them together. Make sure the feet are about a foot away from you, not too close, not too far. And I want you to press the soles of the feet into each other. Take an inhale, lift through the heart. As you do so, lift up through the chest, your knees come up just an inch or so, maybe not even that high. Inhaling, opening up the heart, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Then exhale, let the knees drop down and let your chest soften a little bit. Tummy pulls in. Then inhale, lift back up, stretching and opening the hips and the chest. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep the mind's eye on the breath. Inhaling, lifting the knees. You can close your eyes here. And then exhaling, letting the knees open. Then walk your hands forward and just allow yourself to fold forward now over the legs. Coming back into that Ujjayi breath, a diaphragmatic yogic breath, diaphragmatic breathing. Inhaling through the nose, creating that ah sound as you open up the throat, and exhaling. I will actually teach this in the 4th session, the Ujjayi breath, if you're wondering, how do you do this? So let's take one more deep breath in, and as you breathe out, slide the hands toward your shins and bring your hands to the outside of your knees, help your knees together. Let's slide our bottom to our heels and lower ourselves onto our backs, coming all the way down to the floor. Stretch the arms away from the legs, just making sure you have space to stretch. And as you breathe in, stretch out the lower back. So in other words, lift the lower back off the ground and allow the rib cage to pop up. So it should feel really nice here. And then pedal those feet so you bend and straighten the knees. So feeling the hip joints moving from side to side. As you breathe in and you breathe out. One more time, take an inhale and then exhale, let the backs of the knees press towards the ground. Flex those feet and then place the feet flat on the ground, knees pointing upwards. Float the arms next to your sides. For a moment, palms spin down. Take your feet slightly wider than your hips and let your knees float from side to side. So knees drop to one side as you exhale, inhaling the knees up and then to the right. These are windshield wiper legs. Feel the hip joints beginning to feel a little less tight as we loosen up those hips. Now, flattening out those feet, heel toeing those feet about hip distance apart, and I want you to take your right leg and cross it over your left, as if you're sitting on a chair crossing your leg over your left leg. Now, options here, we're going to do some tummy work here. Anybody that's pregnant or has high blood pressure that's not being treated, you can do this one, but without the lifting of the tailbone and pulling the belly, and I'll show you the option. So take your right foot and put it behind your left foot if possible. If not, don't force it. That's just an option. You could keep your feet flat on the ground. So many of us just don't even put the foot behind. So I put mine behind. You can keep your feet on the ground, or the highest option, the highest level, is to lift the feet off the ground to a 90-degree angle. Hands behind your head, and elbows pointing upwards towards the ceiling. They're angled in towards your shoulders. So we're wrapping our shoulders. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lift your elbows up, holding the breath. So if you're pregnant, you keep your feet down and you stay right here. For anybody else, lift your tailbone up as you hold the breath and exhale. Reach your elbows up towards the sky. Pull the belly in. Inhaling, lowering the feet down, and then bring the shoulders down just for a moment.
but not all the way down. Keep the head up. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lift your head and shoulders up again. Lift your legs up. Pick your tailbone and exhale, elbows reach towards the ceiling a little bit more, and look, keep your gaze towards your right leg. Then inhaling, keep your legs up or place them down, lower to the upper part of your shoulders, keep your head off the ground. One more time. Lift your tailbone, exhale, elbows reach up, and then exhale, lower down. Lower the feet down, lower the head down, lower the arms down, and keep your legs crossed over, but those with the foot behind that left leg, just untwist it, and then let both knees drop to the right. If that doesn't feel good, just untwist your legs, stack them on top of each other. Let's return to Ujjayi breath. I'm sure because we were doing other breathing, take a breath in and out. So what we're doing here is we're working the deep abdominal muscles, the transverse abdominis muscles, and we're also working our inner thighs, our pelvic floor, our digestive system, our kidneys, massaging all the organs around that area. Now come back up, place the feet flat on the ground and just switch your legs. Let's take your left leg, cross it over. Option, keep both feet on the ground. Another option would be to lift the feet up, keep them lifted, and take your left foot behind your right calf. So this is what you can stay. For those that can't or need to be careful, for various reasons, you keep your feet down. Everybody place their hands behind their head, place their head in their hands, elbows angle in towards each other. Take a breath in and lift your head and shoulders off the ground. Hold the breath, lift your tailbone, and exhale, reach the elbows towards the ceiling. And then inhale, just lower the tailbone down and just to the upper part of your shoulders. Don't come any lower. Holding the breath, lift your tailbone. Exhaling, elbows lift up. This is quite intense. And this is why pregnant people don't do it. Don't lift the tailbone. You do just gentle little lifts. That's it. Lower down or opt for another type of abdominal. Come down. One more set. Holding the breath, lift your tailbone. Exhale, elbows reach up. Squeeze the inner thighs. And then lower the feet down, the head down. Let the arms float out to the sides. Keep your leg crossed over, and then take your legs over to the right side. I think that's right. Over to the left side. I'm making mistakes. And then pick your legs up and uncross your legs. So that should feel pretty nice. Just shake them out from side to side. An intense abdominal. Let's find our way all the way up. Cross your ankles. Swing around onto your hands and knees. Once on your hands and knees, press back into an extended child's pose. Reach your arms forward. Stretch through those fingertips. Breathe in and out. Let's inhale into your tabletop. That's exhaling. Push up through the cat stretch. Just let your back stretch a little bit, your lower back. It was working pretty hard in that previous abdominal exercise. Then inhale into a neutral spine. Curl the toes under. Exhale, either press back into your extended child's pose or pop up into your downward dogs. So downward dogs, why you find them in all your yoga classes? Because they're transitional poses. They're ones that they're supposed to be resting when you, after you get to, you become more adept at them. They also counter everything we do most of the day. They invert us. It's like doing a headstand multiple times in a class. Good for your heart, great for your spine, core strength, everything. So if you don't get it immediately, eventually you will be able to do your downward dogs. with practice. Most of us anyway. Let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, walk your feet to the front of the mat. Come into a forward bend. Let yourself hang here. You can take your opposite hand to your opposite elbow. Just shake your head no and shake your head yes. Just a moment here of just allowing your upper body and your spine to decompress. So here you are inverted again. That's why often why we feel so good in yoga, after yoga, because we've inverted. These are feel-good hormones are starting are being triggered, and also our heart is being given a little bit of a break. Slowly roll yourself up, ragdoll roll. Let your arms dangle down, lifting up nice and tall. And once you're up in this mountain pose, or what they call Tadasana, just squeeze your shoulder blades. So feel the opening and expansion of your chest as you press into the feet. Then roll forward, back through your ragdoll roll, going in the opposite direction. Rolling down, folding into yourselves. And once you get to the bottom, let yourself hang here for just a moment, because we're all go at different paces. We're not all fast. Some of us are faster, some slower. And then roll yourself back up. Keeping the focus on movement. And the breath lifting up is an exhalation. So we're going to do this now, incorporating the breath. Squeeze the shoulders and then take a breath in. And as you breathe out, lower down. So exhale completely, just like we did with that 4-8 breathing exercise. Use the breath to help you lower down. And then take an inhale. And then exhale, fold and unfold. Lift back up. Taking your nervous system and reversing what it might have been before you sat down on this mat. And then just squeeze your shoulder blades, letting your heart open, allowing the hips to open a little bit, push the hips a little further forward. And just wiggle your fingers, move them around, circle them. And then come up nice and tall until your arms are draping next to your legs. We're in Tadasana, the mountain pose. So this is another standing toning pose. You don't think much about, well, I'm just standing. I want you to follow me. Close your eyes, press into the ground, draw the knees up towards your thighs. Turn the top of your thighs, so the quadriceps inward, just so it's going to be a very subtle movement. Not much is going to happen. Tailbone lengthening down. So everything from the hips are pushing downward as the knees pull up. Crazy stuff, huh? And then the crown of the head lifts up. So you feel like a toy soldier, very rigid at this point. Now I want you to take a breath in. Make sure your head is slightly back, chin slightly tucked. Take an inhale. And then maintain this posture, but soften down into it a little bit more. Let it become a little softer. Not too soft, not too, it's like the 3 bears, right? Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. Let the arms drape next to your sides, shoulders relaxing. This is an all-body toner. Your muscles are working like mad to help you stand like this. Let's take one more deep breath in. And as you breathe out, reach your arms up to the sky. And then exhale, float the arms forward all the way down to the ground, back into your forward bend. Step back into your downward dogs. So a little bit more of a kind of a relaxing, not so intense session on toning and breathing this time, because we want to break it up a little bit. Swing the legs forward in front of you. Slide your bottom to your heels and lower yourself down, either with support of your hands behind your knees, or you can keep your arms off your knees and lower down slowly. Hug your knees into your chest. Reach your legs up to the sky. So we're going to do one more abdominal exercise, which is actually also a toner for your legs. You're going to place your heels together, but your toes are turned out and they're pointed. The thighs are turned out as well. So you're in what I call a ballet stance. And you're committing to this. You're not just doing a little halfway thing. You're pushing through the legs as if you're trying to reach up to the ceiling. Arms are next to your sides, or you could place them, make a little triangle underneath your tailbone. And then take an inhale. And then as you exhale, start to just make little circles as if you have a paintbrush in your toes. And you're painting a circle on the ceiling. Keep the thighs turned out. You can, with control, you can create larger circles. That's a little bit harder to do. But if you start to lose control and the quality of your legs, then don't do that. Come back up to a nice, reach the legs back up, go in the opposite direction. Now little circles, turn the thighs out if they've reverted back to the old ways, which they do. Little circles first, that might just be where you're going to stay. Otherwise, you can go a little bit bigger. So tummy work, back work, make sure the lower back is supporting you, that it's pressing into the ground. Try not to use momentum to circle. Use your muscles. And then let's hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Oh. Open the arms out to the sides. Take your knees over to the left. Turn your gaze to the right. Now return to your natural breathing, if you haven't already. Natural breathing, but keep yourself aware. Maintain the awareness of the breath. And then pick your knees back up. Roll onto your back, hug your knees again into your chest, and then open up the arms and take your knees and let them drop to the right. Open up the arms wide, turning your gaze to the left. Not too much. There was quite a lot of muscular work you might have felt from that very first abdominal exercise, which is very intense. But it does help to kind of squeeze out tension by crossing the legs, the very first abdominal exercise we did today. Hug the knees into the chest and extend your left leg to the left corner of the mat, right to the right corner of the mat. Let both arms drape out to the sides, about 6 or 7 inches from the body, palms facing up. Lift your shoulders off the ground, slide them under, closing your eyes, melting, 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 melting into the mat. Nothing more to do for 2 to 5 minutes. Let yourself be. And as you continue on with your Shavasana, I will find my way up to seal our practice for this session. So lots of tummy work the last 3 classes, leg work, shoulders, but more so today we've worked on tummies, we've worked on backs, thighs. We did our full body toner just by standing tall in our mountain pose. And we've learned a technique of how to calm ourselves down when we find ourselves overwhelmed. And even if you're not overwhelmed, you might want to try that breathing technique, the 4-8, just to prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed, maybe at lunchtime.
maybe in the evening. But definitely, if you're having trouble sleeping, it works beautifully for sleep. As I bring my hands in front of my heart to seal our practice, to send you love, compassion, and gratitude for practicing with me. And for YouTubers, feel free to subscribe if you would like to, you like my classes and you want more, and then give me a thumbs up. That would be fabulous. Comment, ask for what you want. I'll be happy to create classes that work for you. And if you're interested in my live classes, please, live online classes, please check out my yogawithrebeccajane.com. I'll see you soon. Namaste, everyone.